All right, we'll stay in the world of hoops here as we present our NBA awards segment. Drink, let's get right to it. Who you got for league MVP?
Well, I gotta go. I'm gonna keep it over here in the Western Conference, and I'm gonna go with Nikolai Jokic, the fine center. You know what? And I just want to say this. It's kind of crazy how the NBA come full circle. Cause when we talk about the best fives in the NBA, it's two names that you hear about all the time. I'm gonna present my one. I'm pretty sure others can pretty much guess who the other one is. If you've been paying attention in the last 3 or 4 years, these guys go back and forth with the first team NBA. I mean, you want to throw in Rudy Gobert, he be somewhere in the mix. But these two guys, when we're talking about from the offensive standpoint, these guys are unmatched. Because I don't care what you got to say about Rudy Gobert defense, he ain't touching these guys on the offense side of the ball, not even close. Yeah. But for this, I went with Jokic, the Joker. Look, here's the deal. We have to remember this. Jamal Murray went down. I forgot specifically when he went down, but when he went down, somebody had to pick up the slack. The person that picked up the slack was no other than the Joker. He picked up his game. His game got all around better, and you got to give a man some respect when he maintains or better his team's position in the Western Conference without his second best player or first best player, however you want to look at it. We know how important Murray is to that team. We seen what he did for this team last year. So we're not going to act like Murray being hurt, doesn't diminish the Denver Nuggets. But here's the thing. This is the NBA, and we ain't got time for the excuses, right? So you gotta dust yourself off, blow off the dust, and get back in the game. And I think Jokic did that. Now, I'm in true transparency, right? I'm gonna say, in true transparency, he might not win this award. He might do it. I don't know, but I think this award comes down to two guys, my guy and your guy. And after that, it's a distant third. I don't care who you put in third, but I think it's a distant third. I think these two guys has been the guys that's been, top notch all year. I know we had LeBron in there earlier before his injury. I'm hearing the Chris Paul stuff. I'm hearing, even we was even bringing up Randle. You know what I'm saying? I got all that, but these are the two guys. If this was the Heisman Trophy, these are the two guys that's getting invited. The rest of them probably had to watch it from the house. That's just what it is. But with that said, 26.4 points per game, 6 field goal percentage, 38. Dang, man, the NBA has evolved so much when you got centers that shooting almost 40% from the three-point line. Centers, that's outrageous. 10.8 rebounds per game, and then 8.3 assists, 1.3 steals, and 0.7 blocks. Listen. The dude stacking, he is definitely stuffing the stat sheet. There's no doubt about it. The Denver Nuggets wouldn't be where they're at without him. That's no doubt about it. So for my money, I put it on Jokic, but if the other guy win, I ain't gonna cry about it. Who you got for MVP?
I think these are clearly the two best choices. Best way to pick it, maybe to flip a coin. But yeah, I'll go Joel Embiid because I actually put qualifiers on both of these guys at certain points. At one point I said if Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers get the number one seed in the East, he'll be the MVP. I know he's missed quite a handful of games, but it's been an odd year where a lot of guys have missed a lot of games. Mm-hmm. LeBron, AD, James Harden, and Harden and LeBron in particular are two guys that they're typically leading the pack when it comes to the MVP race. And Jokic has had a great year. And I also said if the Nuggets, after Jamal Murray's injury, if they keep creeping up the Western Conference standings, then he'll have a great chance of it. And they did. They made it all the way up to the third seed. Remember at one point, they were, they struggled. They had some deep struggles early in the season. They weren't even in the field, the playoff field at certain points. But I think the eye test is kind of the biggest thing for me. When I watch Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, Embiid looks like the best player on the best team. I know Utah and Phoenix wound up with more regular season wins, but I think Joel Embiid is the best player on the best team. Sometimes that's the way these things shake out. But if Jokic wins, I don't think anybody's going to be upset by that. But of course, other guys had outstanding seasons like Chris Paul, Julius Randle, and of course, we know the great run that Steph Curry's been on recently. But yeah, I don't think you go wrong with either of these guys. And it's been a long, long time since MVP has been between two big guys. On the Rookie of the Year. What do you think of that one?
So, Rookie of the Year, I got Anthony Edwards, man. Listen, I think this award was going to be given to another player throughout majority of the season. That player got hurt. And I think Anthony Edwards, for what it's worth, I know, listen, do not equate this to the success of the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves haven't been good for a very long time. He's just another cog in his wheel. But with that said, I do think when he got a chance to show that he should be in that conversation, he put himself into that conversation. He's been a very bright star for these Timberwolves. Listen, we done seen a lot of number one picks flame out before the season is over. Markel Fultz. We done seen, guys just not hacking Anthony Bennett. But, hey, Edwards came in. Listen, I can't be mad at him. Like, this guy came in. You got to understand, when he came in, he came from Georgia, first of all. University of Georgia basketball, not football.
Yeah.
So, it was like, first of all, people like, wait, what? Since when we start drafting, we look at Georgia for basketball players all of a sudden? Since when?
That's not a blue blood college.
Like, what are we doing here? Hey, but he went number one overall, and I think he showed the goods. I think he got a bright future for the Timberwolves. 19.3 points per game. He averaged 4.7 rebounds and 2.9 assists. Pretty much three assists per game. That's pretty good coming from your small forward / power forward. However you want to look at it. That's pretty good. I do think he has played well enough to sneak in. I think he played well enough on the back end of the season to, come and kind of steal that Rookie of the Year from someone else. So for my money, I got Anthony Edwards. What say you?
I'll go LaMelo Ball. Kind of the same reason as Embiid. I know both of these guys missed quite a few games, but I think the first half impact when Charlotte they were sitting in the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference for a while. We know once he got hurt, they really tailed off, and he did end up coming back. I don't think many of us thought he'd come back, and that wasn't enough to get him in the playoff field ultimately. But I think I think this is something that sometimes a lot of this is driven by some of these awards. Sometimes it's media driven, and I think given how the Ball family has been kind of an underlying story for several years in the NBA now, and Lonzo, for the most part, has been somewhat of a disappointment. I think LaMelo, the way he played this season, is kind of, people that was, if you're big into the Ball family, LaMelo's kind of vindication with the way he played this year, and I think that'll lead to more votes and him winning the award. And in the end, Anthony Edwards, I think he had a real hot end to the year, and he may well have done enough to win the award. But I think LaMelo Ball, when you look at 16, 6, and 6, that's pretty impressive. I know he didn't play, he missed quite a chunk of time, but for this season, for these awards, I don't think that's going to be held against guys as much as it has been in years past. What about Defensive Player of the Year? Who are you going with for that award?
I'm going with Ben Simmons, baby. Listen, Ben Simmons been out here. He been talking that hot stuff all year about that he should be the Defensive Player of the Year. And guess what? I agree with him. Listen, when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year, I understand, like, these players ain't got nothing to do with how tall they are or, how short they might be or how long their wingspans are or how high they can jump. You know what I'm saying? Some of this stuff is just pure natural athleticism, right? So I ain't mad at that. However, what I do get tired of hearing is just because you're tall and you average 5 blocks a game, you're some type of defensive stalwart. No, you're just tall and you play around the rim a lot. That's it. Like
you talking about Rudy Gobert?
Oh, did I say Rudy Gobert? Yeah, I'm talking about Rudy Gobert. I get tired of him since we're talking, since we on the subject. Since we take that. Since we on the subject, Rudy Gobert is exactly who I'm talking about because this dude. People want to tell me how good he is on the defense side about because he blocks shots. How many steals do he average? How many deflections do he average? Don't give me block shots when he looked like he could dunk the ball without jumping. What are we talking about here? I want guys like Ben Simmons and etc. I want a guy that's built like a forward, play like a guard, and can guard all 5 positions. He say that dude good. Let me get him. Now, the problem is he play on a team with another guy that also said he should be somewhat in the Defense Player of the Year picture, Joel Embiid. So I guess he got to share the love. Either way, Ben Simmons say, yo, I want the best player over there. Let me lock him up. Now, we done seen times where we've been questioning, like, Simmons, how you gonna be the defense player of the year, but you over here playing, some Rudy Poo, fresh out. Who we talking about? Ish Smith. Why you guarding Ish Smith? No, we kind of need you to be guarding Bradley Beal. You know what I'm saying? It be those times where you kind of question, like, what is? Why is Ben Simmons guarding him? He need to be guarding him. So if those arguments creep up a little bit, that's fine. But at the end of the day, Ben Simmons go out there and he gets it done on the defense side of the ball. He gets it done. And, I ain't even going to lie. If another guy on that team played more minutes, that's who would get my vote. That other guy is Dobby. No, what's his name?
Matisse Thybulle.
There we go. Matisse Thybulle. I couldn't get the Matisse part out. If he was played more minutes, that would be my defense player of the year. That dude is the truth. But I got to go with the guy that's out here putting it on for the 76ers, doing this thing. My defensive player of the year, Ben Simmons.
I was going Ben Simmons, but I had a last-minute change of heart, probably because I just everything I hear and all the lists I read, which some of them don't even say Ben Simmons. Some of them are just the old default Rudy Gobert answer. Rudy, by the way, off topic, Rudy Gobert is he's gonna like be the next Ben Wallace, where he like makes the Hall of Fame because he won 5 Defensive Player of the Year awards and all that. I just kind of can see that coming up. I hope not.
Right.
But, I'm going Bam. I'm going Bam Adebayo. A lot of the stuff I'm looking at is anecdotal. I'm probably not taking into account the whole season because I haven't. It's hard to see these guys just over and over all the time, like some of the high profile pundits do. But that point you made about Ben Simmons and there's been several occasions, most recently last week when they played Miami, and I'm just looking at Ben Simmons running around chasing Duncan Robinson off screens. Like I know Duncan Robinson is important, but I don't know. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, I don't know. Maybe those dudes could be bigger threats. There's another example. I know that it's not Ish Smith instead of Bradley Beal, but there's been other occasions where Ben Simmons is, I don't know, trying to pose as a point guard and guard a point guard, but it just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, go guard someone else that, like, I don't know, is being more impactful on the game. Not that he does not deserve the award, because I think his defensive ability is off the charts. He definitely ain't winning Offensive Player of the Year if they had that, because there's not much to speak of in the outside the painted area. But
no lies told.
I'm looking at Bam, and some of the cases you made apply for Ben Simmons, but also Bam's got great defensive versatility. I think he can guard 1 through 5. Nobody's ever gonna be mad when Bam Adebayo switches out on a guard, because he's gonna keep the guy at bay. And I think he, not only that, he's one of the best all around players in the game. I think you're gonna start making him be a yearly participant on these all NBA teams year after year. I think he's that good, and I think defensively, just his versatility and his impact. And I've talked about how he's the anchor of that Miami Heat team. So I would go Bam. Maybe the evidence in all actuality doesn't support that. But either one of those guys, I'd take either one of those guys after just if LeBron can't win 10 MVPs and Rudy Gobert can't win a Defensive Player of the Year award every year.
Right.
So I'll leave it at there right there. How about six man? What you got for that?
Six man, I think this is pretty clear cut. I couldn't even come up with another guy. Hey man, I think Jordan Clarkson. Listen, this one probably be signed, sealed, and delivered, folks. I don't think it's a six man that's a close second. How could you like? Some people like wonder like, is he really a six man? Yeah, he comes off the bench, but like his minutes gotta be starter minutes because this dude is instant offense. Been the best thing since sliced bread ever since Donovan Mitchell got hurt. He done help the Utah maintain being one of the better 3-point shooters teams in the game. Do I think he's gonna be enough in the playoff? No, but thank God this is a regular season award. So with that said, I don't think there's much to be said about. I mean, the dude been playing phenomenal. I mean, he's at a star level. I think coming off that bench, been playing all around well. And listen, I think it's undersold how important it was for him to play the way he played when he played it. Because without him helping play that way, I don't know if Utah is still the number 1 seed. I think Phoenix might come up and snipe him at this point because it's a lot of guys on that team shooting, but it wasn't a lot of guys that was like, create your own shot. Give me 40 one night. Give me 38 one night. Give me 20. Like, that was Clarkson. I mean, if you want to say, Bogdanovich was shooting better, okay, cool. You want to say Ingles was, well, all right, cool. But none of those guys was getting it done like Clarkson. Give me the ball, open it up, let me go get some. And he was an instant bucket, and I think he'll be the sixth man of the year, and I think it's well deserved.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty easy. I agree with you, Jordan Clarkson. There's been a few guys that have kind of like year in year out. You look at them, and like Lou Williams among them, but Lou Williams didn't have quite the season. So you got to look elsewhere. And just sometimes these are pretty easy. A guy just stands, clear and above the rest. And sometimes guys who you look at him as a sixth man. Sometimes, injuries will force him into the starting lineup and it'll kind of disqualify him. But Clarkson's been, coming off the bench all year. And just the way he impacts games, bringing that spark to the second unit. Donovan Mitchell, Gobert, and Bogdanovich, Conley, they out the game. But don't worry about it because Clarkson's coming it in and he's filling it up for you. 18 points, 43%, 35 from deep. Has a little bit of can pass the ball at times for you. His impact, I mean, it can't be understated. And yeah, I agree. He's a big reason why Utah got the number 1 seed. And it's good to see, after moving around a little bit with the Lakers and then had a forgettable finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's good to see that he's found a home in Utah. Yeah, I think he's the clear-cut sixth man. What about most improved?
Most improved, man. You gotta look up in that, what they call it, the Empire State. The New York Knicks. Mr. Julius Randle. Listen, this dude might be the savior of the state of New York. Because I ain't talked about the state of New York this positive since when? I don't know since when. But this guy has single-handedly, to me, yes, I know Brooklyn is in New York, folks. I know Brooklyn. It was a joke. It's just a joke. But with that said, listen, Julius Randle, like you just said about Clarkson, Julius Randle bounced around, man. He was with the Lakers. Then remember he had a stint with the Pelicans. Right?
Yeah, with the Pelicans.
Yeah, he had a stint with the Pelicans. Now he done landed with the Knicks, and oh my God, this is why they got the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Give everybody a chance. Want they want. This man went to the Knicks and lost his mother-loving mind. He is out here. I'm like, Julius Randle? That's the same guy that played in Kentucky? They got drafted by the Lakers? Look like a doppelganger to me. Like, somebody go take some blood and make sure that's him. Because this man is off the chain this year. He's clear-cut the number 1 option for the Knicks, first and foremost. Clear-cut. I mean, Derrick Rose come off the bench and he does his thing, but Julius Randle is the man in New York. We didn't talk about this on the show. they gotta find a way to build around him at this point. Like, you gotta get some other players to help him out, but this guy's been playing insane. And listen, for what it's worth, I think the gap between him and the number 2, candidate for most improved is just like the 6-man award. I'm not even considering giving this award to anyone outside of Julius Randle. We got to understand how dead this Knicks franchise was before this year. No one talked about them. No one cared to talk about them, even though they're very valuable as a franchise. But no one cared because the biggest story for the Knicks last year was the fact that Spike Lee couldn't use his own private elevator or whatever he was talking about. That was like the biggest story for the Knicks last year.
And when they in
the press conference.
Yeah, was it Scott? Not Scott Perry. He's still there. God, I can't remember
These
his
two
name.
clowns that came out there with the
freaking frack up there.
Freaking frat, right? Your 2 biggest stories didn't have nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah.
And now we're actually back on the bandwagon talking basketball and talking about basketball at a high level, because let's remember, the Knicks are one of them teams this year where they don't got enough to win the conference or anything, but they do got enough to put a scare in your favorite teams, chances. So, I know I'm excited about seeing the Knicks in the playoffs this year. I'm pretty sure others, because we want to see what they're going to do. We know they play defense. Let's see what they're going to do. So with all that said, man, this was pretty easy for me. I went with Julius Randle of the Knicks.
It was Scott Perry and Steve Mills, by the way. Those were the two circus clowns in there at the press conference that got – I don't even remember who the coach was.
Oh, it was Fizdale.
David Fizdale.
Right?
Yeah, David Fizdale. But I couldn't agree with you more on this one as well. Julius Randle. Some of the numbers actually comparable, to his first season in New York. Field goal percentage and rebounding, not that big a difference there. But the 3-point shooting and the assist, 2 glaring. The assists maybe nobody really cared about all that much. Those are probably a little bit of a bonus, especially his position. But I mean, this guy, for years, nobody cared about Kentucky, but you get to the NBA and now, you need guys to create space more and more. Space is more valuable. And man, you go from 28% shooting threes to 41%. And we've seen it firsthand. We've done a lot of Knicks games this year, and the improvement is undeniable. And now you're also looking at him as a big-time playmaking threat, going from 3 assists to 6 assists. Guys talk about his leadership, his impact in the locker room. Those weren't things we heard about earlier in his career. I think Tom Thibodeau is probably the right coach for him. He's getting the best out of him. And, another thing, as the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs, no one saw that. And think about this too. He's out there starting typically with R.J. Barrett. Put him aside real quick, but think about this: Nerlens Noel, Reggie Bullock, and Elfrid Payton. Those guys, no disrespect, they ain't starting for a lot of teams.
All 3 of those guys are castaways. All 3 of those guys, whoever they played for last outside of the Knicks, that team said, "I don't care for this dude."
Those are the guys the Knicks go get in free agency because nobody wants to come there. Now I think that's going to change now that they're having a little bit of success, but that's what's happening. But good for the Knicks that they got Julius Randle, because he's changed a lot of things. This is the most excited Knicks fans have been since Carmelo, and I think there's more reason to be excited right now. Last one, Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year, I gotta take this back out west. You heard me? And listen, it's Monty Williams of the Phoenix Suns. Look, this is all I gotta say about this. The Phoenix Suns was the second to last worst team in the Western Conference last year. This year, they're one of 2 50-win teams in the NBA this year. All I'm saying is this. I didn't say in the West. I said in the NBA. It was only 2 teams that won 50 games this year. They were one of them. They was terrible last year. And they had majority of all these players outside of Chris Paul and Jay Crowder. So, And I mean, Monty Williams was the coach last year, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So as I look at that, something tells me Monty Williams went to the drawing board. I think Monty Williams had something to do with them getting Chris Paul, by the way. I'm going to give him credit for that. I think he knew what he needed as a leader, and he didn't let his ego, like, say, oh, I don't want him because he might come here trying to change everything. He said, nah, man, I'm trying to win. I'm sick of this bottom of the conference crap. I need some winners in here. Went out and got him a couple of winners, put him with his young studs, and now, I mean, we on the drink of wisdom, like, hold on, let's slow down those expectations. But for the most part, it's a lot of people, got high expectation for them. I mean, conference finals and all that. That's where the buck stopped for us. We ain't got them in no conference finals. But you never know, right? So they 51-21 on the season. Like I said, last year they was 34-39. That is a remarkable turnaround. Listen, I think this award, I want to say I've seen 3 names that I think is like reasonably should win this award. I know your pick is one of the guys that I think could win this award as well. But for me, it's Monty Williams. The Suns, fantastic regular season, but now we about to get into the good stuff. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with the Knicks where Julius Randle plays. I'm gonna go Tom Thibodeau. Similarly to how I said, Julius Randle, he's out there leading the Knicks to the 4th seed with like guys. So I'm like, what? Why is Elfrid Payton playing in a starting lineup? Like, what is it? Reggie Bullock, I don't quite understand it. Nerlens Noel, he been like cast away since Philadelphia dropped him off at a homeless shelter, and he just keep getting recycled all over the place. So, I mean, I think the same argument can be made for Tom Thibodeau. I mean, the 4th seed in the East. I mean, just never saw it coming, and they just, as the season progressed, like they looked pretty surprising early on, and they just kept playing better and better as the season wore on. And I think Coach of the Year, it comes down to guys who you look at their team and you like to see big jumps from year to year, but also looking at how that team's constructed and like who does more with less. And I think Tom Thibodeau this year has done more with less than anybody else. I do think, and I said this like a couple shows ago, I said, because we were talking about, some people are throwing Chris Paul in there in the MVP conversation, and that's fine. But I think a better type of summation of their season is Monty Williams brought these guys along. Chris Paul did as well, but Monty Williams has seen this thing through. That they were really, really bad before the play-in, before the bubble tournament. They got hot then. They won all 8 games in the bubble, and they carried that over to this year. Monty Williams deserves a lot of votes, and if I had to bet on, I'd probably say he'll win the award. But I'd go Tom Thibodeau with what he's done for the Knicks in the city of New York. Well, but I throw in just a couple other names who are deserving of votes. I think both number 1 seeds in the playoffs, Quinn Snyder and Doc Rivers. I think both of those guys are deserving. Quinn Snyder, just the way this team has grown and how they, went from a team that primarily is known for defense. They get it done offensively too, and that's a big deal. And Doc Rivers, it's not so much a talent thing. They got a lot of the same players, but they've went from a team who just under Brett Brown last year just fell short of any reasonable expectation. And this season, Doc Rivers he's gotten this team right. He's got Joel Embiid playing like an MVP candidate, which is what we were waiting to see. And because of that, I think they'll get some votes. And also, an honorable mention vote should be given to Nate McMillan down there in Atlanta with what he did after the.
I ain't mad at that.
What he did after the firing of. I can't. I'm spazzing on names today. But
what was his name? He got fired so fast, I forgot.
It don't matter. But I'd go Tibbs for Coach of the Year.